Dale, you are on two different phones or connections, so I don't know if your phone is, but I can't hear you in any way. While I'm doing that, this is what I wanted to show everybody, because so we're going to have these for the meeting agenda, and I'm not. So Dale, can you figure out which one you're on? Hi there. Yeah, I can't hear you. And I guess Misty's going to be joining us tonight. I'm hoping. She was talking about it anyway.
Thank you. What I drink?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, plus I have got a tablet.
Huh?
Plus I got.
Okay.
I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to mute.
Okay.
And then you can unmute me.
Well, you've got two different devices connected. So I think that, let's unmute that one. No, I can't do that. How about this?
Okay. Now, how do I get this one off the screen?
You have to log out and log back on.
Okay. Okay, so I'll do that. Hold on. One second. I'll see you guys in a minute.
All right.
Yeah. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wanted to share this with you guys because this is where we're starting to get things organized and
You say you're getting the judges organized?
No. We're getting things organized on the.
You're getting them on board to act the actual lawyers?
No, we need them to follow the ethics, the rules of ethics. But you know, in the current situation we're in,
Right.
it is only through our own actions that we will be able to create an ethical community. And so this is my idea is that we present this as our code of ethics for the Coalition for the Protection of Children and Families, and then we take it to the street. We take it to other people, and I'm putting these forms together that are easily accessed on the website for people to join as board members, to request assistance, you know, and also to submit agenda items and questions, and they be filed in the right category. And I just learned this through Google Forms online. They have an online feature that you can use and put it on your website. So then we can start organizing the step-by-step procedure for different actions. And they can be anywhere from dealing with family court to dealing with like community organization. And like in my current situation, I am now connected with the local cooperative gardening community. So
You're the one that's the gardening.
Yeah. You remember the last time that you were telling me that, actually telling my mom to get into the gardening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you do it? Did you go?
Yeah.
Not yet. But we will. We will.
Welcome, Misty. Hi there. You're muted. Do you want to unmute?
So is she in? Is she?
Yeah, it usually takes me a minute to turn on the audio and then get it straightened out. But anyway, hi.
All right.
Welcome to the
Hi.
meeting.
How you doing?
I'm just fine. How are you?
Good, good. For sure.
So we are starting to get things more formatted so that it looks better and more professional. And Dale is supposed to be joining us shortly, and I want to share with everybody what I've been working on. This was something that I learned just recently through a class that I took in human resource management in order to build an ethical culture in business or other organizations. And so these are 40 steps that we can share and show. And, you know, this is basically like what we see in social media platforms is that there's a clear lack of ethical conduct in many groups. Between people and individually on video and other social media devices, the etiquette and ethics are skewed or not even observed. So the Coalition for the Protection of Children and Families, I'm proposing adopt the 40 ways to build an ethical culture and to encourage other organizations to consider these steps to build an ethical culture across the boundaries in their organizations, as well as regarding any collaboration efforts with other like-minded groups and organizations. So this is the ethical to-do list to assess our community, the larger community as well as the smaller community that we are, and work on creating positive ethical actions that we can go and share with others and provide support to others with. And, you know, hold on, I got a call from Dale, and so if you want to just take a look at this and give me a moment, I'm going to mute.
What's it say? 'Cause I don't think I can read it. Can you make your print any bigger?
I don't know. That's on her page. And that's on her.
Okay.
This is not mine. This is hers. No, she shares this. I don't know what. It says avoid harm to. It says 40 ways to build an ethical culture. 40. Avoid harm to a wide variety of constituents. Balance ethics and profitable. Profitable. No, is that right? Can you read that? Profitable.
Profitability and results. Carefully build and protect trust. Choose the ethical plan to pass, even if competitors aren't. Clarify what ethical means in the organization. Clear code of ethics. Clear message about ethics and values. Commitment to protecting the planet, and consistently demonstrate care and respect for people.
Okay. That one girl is in her car. Listen, that one girl is in her car.
Is what?
In a car? Yeah, in a car, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Decision-making carefully incorporate ethics. Develop leaders how to implement proactive ethical leadership. On business, I need to,
Alright, let me see. Decisions.
wait a minute, let me get my feet
Okay.
under so I can. Yeah. So let's go to- Embrace corporate social responsibility, enforce ethical expectations, engaging in relevant ethics training and messages, not the same old boring stuff. Ethical actions match ethical marketing. Frequent conversation about ethics that honor work complexity. Full accountability for ethics at every level, including the C-suite. High degree of transparency, leaders aware of increasing ethical expectations. Leaders stay competent as time changes. Open leadership communication and invitation to participate in decisions. Open supportive leadership, performance guidelines and boundaries for behavior. Performance system fully integrated with ethical expectations.
I see.
I think it needs to be presented in little by little.
It's kind of.
Leaders aware of increasing it. Leaders stay competent. You read that. Safe space to discuss ethical gray areas. Recognize and praise ethical actions. Recognize and punish unethical actions. Strong commitment to improving leadership culture. Take broad responsibility for actions. Think long term about our impact. Treat ethics as an ongoing priority. Treat people with care. Use a precautionary principle. Use systems thinking to see the big picture.
Use systems thinking to see the big picture. That's an interesting one right there. I'm trying to figure out.
A lot of those you need to kind of get more background for each one.
Thinking to see the big picture. Well, I know that Michael. I know that since I have to send me. I was talking about Misty. I have to send me the link to this recording. Okay, I thought she was.
Yeah, I have to go. I could only pop on for a minute. But but I'll watch the recording if she sends it to me.
Okay.
Okay. Love you guys. Hang in there. Thank you. Oh, I hope everything's going well with you and your case.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my son back. Yeah, I'm still working on it. Like last Friday, last Friday we got like a really bad news about Michael, my son Michael, because the appeal judges the appeal judges
Ruled in favor of DFS.
ruled in favor of DFS and everything. So it makes me frustrated and I don't understand it. So I really don't.
They did a complete 20 turnaround at the hearing. They told our lawyer, that he agreed that the judge shouldn't have done that, terminated their rights, and then they did a complete turnaround. So
Right.
I'm wondering who got to him.
I don't know. Probably DFS. Yeah.
And it could also be the hospital too. I apologize everybody for running off like that. Dale has been experiencing some technical difficulties. He will be joining us shortly.
Okay.
Well, I have to run, but I want to say one thing because it popped into my mind. One of the things that I wished I'd had when I was doing my court stuff was a group of men and women to go to court with me and hold space. So what I foresee as what could be good, especially with you, is if at any time you can gather a large group of women to come with you, be at the courthouse, plan on it. So when they're telling that stuff to you, whatever it is, they see 6 to 10 other women that they're also speaking with. You know what I'm saying? Like there's witnesses as to everything that they're doing. That just holding space, just being there, just holding the light kind of a thing. So if you can try to get a group, any group, at least 1 or 2 other, I'm sure you go with at least one here, but you know, if you could do that, that could end up being really helpful.
Unfortunately, this is what I remember you guys saying was that, and I know in the family court here in California, even when we have people coming in support of us to get into the courtroom, they don't get to go into the actual courtroom. They only get to be in the waiting room. They're never allowed in the courtroom.
That's helpful too, because they still see you with your support, you know, and women, and, you know, just anything to change the odds, to help them to be more accountable for what they are doing, I think could be helpful. Even if I could have done it, I would have been there with 30 people every day at every hearing going, y'all witnessing this?
Yeah.
You know, or even afterward. But I pray for the very, very best as always, and I love you all. I'm sorry I got to run. It's at 3% and should shut off in a second. So
good to see you again, Misty.
Good to see you, Misty. I'm glad things are moving forward with you, and thank you
really well
for your energy. So we'll get connected soon and make that other meeting happen. Okay?
Please, let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
Talk
Love you
to you
guys.
soon. Love you too. Bye.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of what you read on the ethics there, on creating a culture of ethics?
I thought it was interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I was wondering if when it's presented at first, if it could be broke down maybe into 3 sections.
Right, because it's pretty long. We're talking about the 40 ways to build an ethical community here, Dale.
And people aren't going to absorb it if you give them too much at once.
Yeah. Maybe we could do like a class on each one of them, or an explanation video kind of deal.
Well, yeah, that would be good, but I was wondering, some of those I think could be consolidated if you that are thinking more in the same line. So I don't think you'd have to have an individual class on each one.
Right.
Take sections on the general concept instead of individually.
And Dale, you had something you wanted to?
Well, I was just going to back up what she just said about simplicity. As the organization grows, you can get more multifaceted. But I think in the beginning, if we could keep it down to 10, ideally, if we could get it down to 5, that we focus on, it's going to be a lot easier to put our energies into that than have something that's. I'm not saying it doesn't have to be complex, but right now when we're starting and we're building this algorithm, that we really keep it simple and easy to understand and easy to execute. And you know, 40 is a boggling number for infants like me. You know, I can do 10.
You can do as many as you can count on your fingers.
I can do 10 pretty easy. You know.
Okay.
I know when one's missing. Right. You say, well, that's not 10. That's 9. You know.
Right.
So. So see, ladies, you're dealing with a typical American male. Not very bright, but very fun at times.
Right.
Well, I think too that the people that who is this? Who is this supposed to be introduced at first?
I think that at first we want to, because I didn't really publish it much of anywhere apparently. I thought I did, but I didn't. I think I published it on the coalition group page, group site. But this would be presented to the coalition groups page, and it would be on the website. So it would be a part of our policies, because we need to have policies and procedure along with our vision mission statement. And I don't know if you saw at the top of this, I know this list is long, but Dale, I wanted to show you this. This is
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
I do for the Family Rights Party, and so I'm setting it up for the Coalition for Protection of Children and Families this way as well. Okay, so then we're still without an actual list of names for board members doing specific functions. We still need to get that dealt with. So we need a president, we need a secretary, and we need a chairman and a treasurer.
Yeah, we got to elect officers, and this just to add here, I'm undergoing a really big problem when my grandson is a coordinator for the movement to get rent control in Long Beach. Now the problem when we have the petition signed is we've got a law that's 15 pages long that people should read before they sign the petition. And so this is just going in with the idea of minimalism. Don't put any more words in there than you have to, but make sure you've got everything that you need. That we in engineering this organization, and then once we, I think it might be a good idea to elect the officers, and then we can take care of our individual areas of responsibility and focus on that particular aspect. So and now you have because that's kind of calling the meeting to order. So what we have to do is we have to establish a quorum.
Yeah.
How many board members are we going to have? And are there enough present to even call an official meeting?
And what you're referring to is also used in Robert's Rules of Order, which is what we follow at the Family Rights Party meetings. So this is something that everybody should look in if they have not. I'm sure they have some of the information about the Robert's Rules of Order online. And this is, I think, more than voting at this point, because of our limited number of board members right now. If we can each think of what we are best at and present that and go from there.
What if you on the 10, each 10, what if you gave it a title so that it kind of gets people ready to absorb in a certain category? Like, if you had a title of ways to or different ethical ways to deal with people or something like that for the 10, and then people are going to know what you're dealing with and where you're leading with your 10 different statements. Just a suggestion.
That is a good suggestion. Thank you, Marge. And so we're getting right into it. I think that we could do a lot of different things using this list and using parts of the list for different things that we, want to address. Because there's a variety of topics that we're discussing here to help create an environment that is an ethical, loving environment.
Okay. Okay, when you introduce it to the general people, how are you going to introduce it? Is it going to be the rules you follow, or how are you going to express it? Because I see people that are all confused of not quite knowing where this is leading.
Policy and procedure, right? So
Yes.
Yeah.
policy and procedure means that we adopt these policies to help generate ethical communication and interaction between our members.
Okay.
And then the procedure, once the policy is established, the procedure is how we are going to accomplish that,
Yes.
the ways in which we are going to accomplish that.
And
And
so that list could be broken down. The policy is show recognition of all advocates for the work that they have done, and you know, and then how would we put that? What would be the procedure for that?
and so I'm gonna just for just as a tool to give you an example. For instance, you guys elect me for as chairman of the fundraising committee. Okay, the policy for fundraising is to give everybody as much freedom as they as they want and can have. So everybody in their individual place can figure out what they want to do to raise money. And then what we have is like a we could call it we declare a monthly dues of $5 a month for all the members in the coalition, and that's one way of doing it. Another, and the procedure is that no matter how you raise the money, that it's got to be legal and it's got to be safe and do no harm, and it's got to generate revenue. So that gives everybody the freedom to operate independently. And when we say, okay, this is the group program that we have, and then individually, everybody's out there prospecting and trying to put a system together. And we have a monthly fundraising meeting, and they say, well, listen, I've discovered this, and I'm making a lot of money, you know, and so what it does is open up all those creative opportunities for each person to demonstrate what they think, what they've got fundraising, and then we boil it down and get down to the ones that really produce money. Because what we're attempting to do is not only going to require an organization of people, but it's going to require some money. So we have to be fundraisers. It's like putting your kids through gymnastics school. You know, you got to raise money to get them on the airplane, get their uniforms, get their training, get their medical insurance paid, all of these ancillary costs that are part of having an effective or a successful organization. And then, you know, everybody doing their little part makes the whole thing work.
Okay, and what I think Marge is really asking for is, because these people are so aimless, like they are so unfocused and in a state of chaos, that to just say, well, you do whatever you want as long as it's legal and stuff, you know, they're standing there saying, well, I still don't know what to do.
Well, then we have option A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and they can gravitate to one they're comfortable with.
So this is.
I guess I see the problem of, I like the idea, but somehow I feel like it has to be incorporated with the people's main goal of what do I do to get my kids back, and what do I need to know to get my kids back. Yes, it should be ethical, but until you give people those information, I don't think they're going to pay attention to it, because they're panicking. They're you know, and I know the feeling. It's like, oh my gosh, Michael's been there almost 5 years, and when is it going to stop?
Yeah.
And so I need to know, okay, what procedures do I do now that where I am? And these people like that, they think that the end of the world has come because their kids are adopted. They need to understand that that's not true, and they need to understand ways to go around it, and that includes legal ways, which some of them aren't going to understand unless you break it down.
All right. And I understand what you're saying, Marge, and that is a part of the work we're doing. I believe that we're going to have different sections because there are lots of parents who are dealing with divorce court that are not involved with CPS, that are experiencing similar issues, and this is the Coalition for the Protection of Children and Families. Our main goal is broad. It is intentionally broad so that we can help parents who are dealing with both legal, mental, emotional, and sociological, psychological issues and provide them with the services. Now, I understand what you're saying, that there doesn't seem to be a whole bunch of order right now on this site or any of the other group sites that are out there.
That's not what I really mean. I really mean that what I mean is, and maybe that's what you said, but what I'm thinking is I see people writing, and I see people, saying such and such has happened, and they have no idea that they have a right to certain things. And so I feel like, okay, what the ethics needs to be fit in with the legal aspect,
Yes.
the adoption aspect, the steps that it takes to get, like for instance, the forced adoption. Okay, probably most of them have no idea. They need to back up and say, okay, what is needed in order for CPS have a right to my child, which is they're not supposed to enter your house. And a lot of people don't know that. And then the next step is, what is legal about what it was done? Did they touch different areas? And that's, I guess, the legality of it. Each one of those sections is, I guess, very broad and needs to be defined more carefully to meet the needs of the type of situation people are in.
Agreed. Yes.
Well, now we're getting down to 10 items. I think the most important thing is to everybody to understand what their legal rights are in whatever state or city or county or parish they're in, and so let's put that as, just make it real simple, and that heading that we can add to, and put it in a coherent sentence.
Well, you're going to have to explain to them, okay, a lot of people have no idea, and the Constitution has been run down for the last 8 years, and people are going to have to understand what the Constitution is, what it gives them, and how it supports them, and what it is that's top law of the country. And these people don't understand that. They don't, I'm not saying they just need to be taught step by step. And I guess if you fit the 10 items, and you gave a couple examples that matched what the parents are confused about, or like for instance the court, and what ethical things might happen there, or what ethical things might happen with the caseworker not telling the truth in court, that type of thing, so that they understand where the ethics falls into place.
Now,
Well,
Tom is trying to give us some literature, but I can't hear you, Tom, and we cannot read the scribble. I'm sorry. I can unmute you. Okay. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the program. How are you doing tonight?
I could be better.
I heard you got arrested.
No, I'm gonna probably end up getting arrested next week.
What?
Oh yeah.
Why?
My case itself, I'm going right to the wall. My case, after doing research, found out, because I told them when they came out that they were out of jurisdiction. And they told me no, they weren't, and didn't give me a chance to prove it. 5 of my reports they were out of jurisdiction on, including the last one to remove my child.
Right.
So I'm going in balls, so excuse my language, but to the wall, and I'm going to tell them where to go. But anyway, tell Marge, what you were talking about, that's actually what I was showing.
Was I talking about what?
What you were just talking about, I'm a step apparently ahead of you.
Oh,
But what
okay.
you were just talking about was kind of what I'm actually working on myself.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
what
like-
that's kind of what I've been working on.
Like
I think we all have been working on it to some extent, honestly.
Right. That cookie good.
I had my dinner just before coming here.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
apologize.
That's okay. You're my friend.
Right.
Sometime, Lyra.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, the
Deadly
legal
sin.
issues. I'm trying to get down a list of 10 things that we really got to focus on, and the legal issues, which it takes in all of the things that we were talking about, and how to structure that policy, the legal policy for the coalition. What the wording in that legal policy is what we have yet to do. So let's make officially the legal issues, all of the legal issues, number one. So informing people of their constitutional rights, informing people of courtroom procedure, informing people of all the legal issues surrounding the protection of children and families.
Okay, now, I did this, all of you. If you paid attention to the site, I have been working on this for a year, and part of what I did was on every page that is a state page, it has a video showing the first showing whether or not the state recognizes parental rights as fundamental rights. If they do, I share the laws that specifically protect parental rights as fundamental rights. If they don't, I state that and say, you also have constitutional rights that are inalienable, and a judge cannot deny you these rights unless there is a preponderance of evidence of guilt.
Lyra,
Yes.
I'm going to stop you there. Whether or not a state, I don't know if you got this. If not, I can get you the material. It don't matter if the state acknowledges fundamental rights or not. It is covered under as what they say. It's, hold on, where'd it just go? It's considered in the interest of the natural parents. If it's not covered under there, as a fundamental right, it is covered under, I want to say, the Declaration of Independence. Don't quote me on it. Let me look.
That's what I put in there. That's the next thing that's on the page, and those are your inalienable rights, and they are
The Bill of Rights.
Yep.
So either whether the state,
it doesn't. I know it's, and I really wish. Okay, here, hold on. We have the state of Alaska. Alaska. This is just one state. They don't recognize parental rights, but so if you look here, this is just the state of Alaska. Okay. Wait, so what it says here on the front page is the Supreme Court declaration: this primary role of parents in the upbringing of their children is now established beyond debate as an enduring American tradition. There are There's no parents' Bill of Rights. They do have some things that they do protect parents under their laws. But as a citizen and adult, you have fundamental rights and liberties which cannot be restrained unless you have been convicted of a crime. And these are those rights. And so we go through the Bill of Rights. Let's see, can I do this? It goes to 10, and then articles in the United States Constitution. There are 10 articles ratified in 1791 by Congress. The following articles further support parental rights. And I'm sorry, this isn't supposed to do that, but there's Article 3 of the Constitution, and there's Article 6. Okay? There's also, you are protected against RICO and racketeering acts under the RICO Act. And then also State Code 12202, there is a state shall not be immune under the 11th Amendment, of the Constitution of the United States from an action in federal or state court of competent jurisdiction for a violation of this chapter. Any action against a state for a violation of the requirements of this chapter, remedies, including remedies of law, are available for such violation. So then, you know, and this is something, another thing people have been asking, which is found on the Federal Supreme Court pro se information page about our rights under the Constitution. My internet is unstable right now. The first, fourth, fifth, and 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States protect parental rights. And then if you go down here, if you have been persecuted by judges or any government employee, you have a right to full redress for violations that are covered here. This is damages, violation of oath of office is $250,000. You can file these claims with a federal court. And even RICO racketeering, criminal and civil, both covered. And so, you know, I need to, on this page, the most frequently asked questions, I have them listed for CPS and steps to take if an investigator comes to your door, and how you can keep them from entering your home without a warrant. You can also have this placed on a window or door. And you point it to anybody who tries to come into your house without lawful entry. And I guess we lost Thomas. Are you muted? Sorry, Kelly. Here, let me unmute you. It won't let me unmute you. Dale, yes, you were going to say something?
Okay, now we've got some focus, and so let's just say I'm in a state of crisis. My children have been taken away from me, and I need help. Okay, so you're referred to Coalition for Protection of Families and Children's website. What we have to find out is what applies to them in their particular situation.
Right.
So the only way we can do that is generate a form.
Yes.
That they could go on the website. Please answer the questions thoroughly and and answer all the questions, and submit the form. That'll tell them what state they're in, what county, what court, what court case, the names of the principals and the family and the children and the parents, and also say we will evaluate your form and all the circumstances under which the kids were taken, and then your form will be evaluated, and we will be getting back in touch with you with the what we advise you to do, and who you can get in contact with in your area, so that is familiar with that particular location. So I really get it, because Marge brought up the theory. Well, people are really in stress, so
Yes.
their circumstance has to be analyzed, and all the questions on the form have to be, how long have your children been out of your care? When were they taken away? Are they in a foster home? Are they under adoption? All the pertinent questions that we need to evaluate what has to be done to get their children back, and realistically let them know what the time frame is, and as we know, in every legal conflict, it's a little nebulous, because it's just a matter of, I'm going to devote my life to this no matter what.
Right.
When we're developing policies and procedures, so what we have to do as a group is we have to work together to get this form, so the people that go to the website automatically said, and you can have your situation, and they click on that, and then the form comes up, and then we can give direction as to how, and then you can have a click on for assistance, filling out your form, and then we have to have people that can get online with them and guide them through the process.
Right.
It's online help. So this is the part of what we're talking about, is building an organization to do this, which is the board's responsibility. So, and it's a step-by-step process with which we have to have officers and responsibilities apportioned to those individuals. So we're going to have to have many hats, wear many hats. We're going to have an accounting hat, a fundraising hat, a organization hat, a online help hat, and in my case,
secretary hat, and a treasurer hat.
In my case, I really prefer, rather than because if you have to rely on my typing, it's going to take me until Christmas to say hello. But because my computer skills are really, as a result of my stroke, I get by barely. So, but on a telephone, my cognitive thinking skills are such that I can look at a form on the website and communicate what has to be done real clearly. And so once we get that form together, we're acting kind of as a community help group.
Yeah.
So we're helping these people. We're not claiming that we're experts, or we're just a layman that are gathered together in an organization to help people get their families back together and get their children back.
May I interrupt just a minute? This is kind of changing the subject, but I was wondering if you have heard about the Aphasia Society. It's a society that works with people with strokes, and it has all kind of resources.
Yeah.
Its main office is in New York, but they have all kind of things that they're trying, and you might go on that site and see what you can find that you might need.
Well, fortunately, I'm in a sanctuary state, California, and the resources in Long Beach are phenomenal. For support, particularly for elderly, I'm just all I have. My Medi-Cal was taken away from me, so all I have is Medicare, and it's still great. It's just I'm fortunate enough to be in a very, very supportive city, and with all that medical help that I have had, I'm walking and talking.
Amen to that.
And I could be in a bed with a tube up my nose, and so I just wish everybody was blessed to live in a city like Long Beach.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because up here it's not so good.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, on what you would, did you want to say something?
Yeah, go
She
ahead.
wants to say something.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'm trying to figure out. Oh, about like, I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. Oh, about like, trying to get your kids back and all that. We, well, I guess we can, like, try to, like, I know there's a different process on how to, try to get your kids back, and I know it's kind of hard, and I know people are trying to do that, just like we are, and but I was gonna say, can we like or can we like write or have like a I want to say like a okay, like a spreadsheet, like, and put on like on your on the computer and all that, and say like for the people that are having that doesn't know their rights and everything, and tell them, okay, this is where you have to go first, and then second, this
like
is
a resource.
yeah, like a resource thing.
Yeah. Well, this is the whole thing in putting these policies and procedures together. What's most important first, and that's getting everybody informed. First of all, to understand each individual situation, and then tailoring a process that they can follow to get their children back, a step-by-step process.
Right.
And so that should be paramount on the website, because if somebody's had their children taken away, that's the first and most important thing they want to know. How do I get them back?
Right.
Okay. The other thing I was wondering is if when you put the form, if you put it in like legal
Like a
legal knowledge knowledge about your rights, kind of put headings so that it kind of stirs up thoughts in the people's minds that they might not have thought of otherwise.
Well, Marge, fortunately, because of all the work that Lyra's done, the vast majority of this is already in place. It's just a matter of assembling it, so when somebody comes to the site, they access the information they need
easily. And and that requires some more assistance, because I know that not everything is easily assimilated in the way that so I understand that. And I wanted to show you guys that form that I brought up a little bit ago, because this is what I can do for us, and put any kinds of questions, and I think I can even do it like on a scale to one from 1 to 10. But you see how here at the Family Rights Party we have our introduction section, and then they can they have 4 different options to submit their form. They click on party policies, it's going to take them to this window. And if they're talking about party resolutions, it's going to take them to this window. And these are the kinds of things that we can put on the form for the Coalition for Protection of Children and Families for a number of things. And it's, I also have a testimonial form that's already been created that we can use and stuff. So, I mean, yeah, but
And I think having somebody to talk to, because they are so absolutely out of their minds, that's what the hurdle we have to overcome is try to get the emotions settled down so we can turn that emotion into action that's really going to help get their kids back. Because that can be paralyzing.
It is paralyzing. Yesterday was my youngest son's birthday, and I have not been able to wish him happy birthday in 2 years. In fact, I did not even realize that it was April 16th yesterday, and therefore did not realize that it was my son's birthday yesterday. He turned 7. Okay. I have been battling with CPS for 6.5 years and do not see my children or talk to them at all. So my heart goes out to you both. I want you to know that, I pray for you and that you find the final resolutions you need. And here comes Tom again. Tom's back on. So
Where are your kids?
Where are your kids?
my kids are in 3 different counties here in California. So
Have they been adopted, or
2 of them are in early adoptive placement, yes.
But can you stop that from happening? Because
Yes, I can, but right now I just had to move again. So I have to be careful how I pick my battles, because I can even, it's like if I don't have appropriate housing, then what's the outcome of me trying to get my kids back? What's that outcome going to be?
You
Right?
can do more damage to yourself. You can do more damage to yourself, and it's not so much knowing what to do as knowing what not to do. That to hurt your case, which is just as important. So we have to,
at the federal level, though. So at this point, well, I have to check back in with the lady that I filed with, but I'm supposedly in a class action suit for national.
oh really?
Yeah.
Is that open to everybody?
That one's closed, but I know there are others out there. If I were you, I would be looking on your state level, though, because I think it's going to be easier to win a class action suit when it's just a state class action suit.
Okay.
And that's where I'm having concerns about my own case as to where it's going at this point in time. But I did sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I need to get in touch with the lady who's in charge again.
Yeah. Well, we're praying for you.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you.
And what happened to the executive order?
Yeah.
It's still floating out there. It wasn't it wasn't the order, it was a proposed order, and it's getting a lot of traction, I believe. I've seen a lot of positive, but I've also seen negative comments and people trying to discredit it as a possibility. And I've done some research on executive orders from the past, and they happen all the time. President Bush Jr. made his one executive order was to change the president to the Supreme High Commander or something like that. And it hasn't been changed back since. So really, the President of the United States is the Supreme High Commander, still.
Well,
So
I thought President Trump or somebody from the White House asked Don to write this.
yes. And he's a confidential advisor of President Trump that asked Don to write this. That's correct. And so there is definitely legitimacy to it, and I support it. And I know a lot of other people who support it. Pam supports it from Save Our Children, and so yeah.
Well, the case that you're making is when you go to administrative law and executive privilege, then you have the possibility that what the executive order is not in sync with your constitutional rights, and that's just a risk. So you know, as long as all those executive orders aren't denying the Constitution.
The executive order is in support, in complete support of way of doing business.
And I just bring this up because many of the executive orders that Trump has put in place were unconstitutional,
right,
and were blocked.
Yes.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
You know, yeah, and as long as you understand that. But there's even a massive movement to even the argument that in the Congress right now is the problem that we have is the president can pull us into war because he's got that power, and the Congress there's no law that insists on a supermajority before we get involved militarily anywhere, and that's how all these stupid wars got started.
Right, right.
So and you know, here we are, we're bombing another country with an undeclared war, and even though that somebody drew a red line in the sand with a chemical weapons issue, it doesn't prevent us from getting more involved in a bigger war, and it's more destructive. So anyway. So let's focus on coalition, but
right.
I just want you to understand that what's happening right now is administrative law under executive privilege, and it's not a civil law. So they can make some pretty weird directives out from that office, whether it's the governor or the mayor or the president. So. That's where we're living in a world of administrative law, and that's why they get away with unconstitutional things. You know, a city council can approve a particular action, and all of a sudden your kids are gone, and where did your constitutional rights go? Well, right. and that's where all the chaos is, and it's basically done because they're short of money, and they don't have the money to do all the stuff they need to do to make families whole.
Constitution just
Well, I see Tom is back. Welcome back, Tom. Would you like to say something? You're muted right now. I know you're having a lot of connection issues where you're at, so I want to give you a chance to share. Tom, are you there? Hello? I have unmuted you, Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah, I'm here. So, no, go ahead, Lyra.
No, I just was singing. So, Major Tom, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm just listening, finishing up what I'm doing. So, no, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, if we can all work together to make a little more order to the website that is up, that, you know, has some of this information that can help parents, because I did put together some step-by-step, actually several people helped me put it together, step-by-step process dealing with CPS and court issues, and I know it needs to be expanded and stuff. So that's just one thing we've been talking about here tonight. And the other thing, Tom, that we've been talking about is cultivating an ethical community here in the family rights movement and being able to pair some of the actions and creating policies to help facilitate a more ethical way of doing business in the family rights movement.
Okay.
And we have a list of 40 different actions, which is a bit overwhelming. And so we've been talking about taking out the 10 most important ones that, like, let's see, positive ethical role models. Okay, that would be a policy. We want to be positive ethical role models. So how do we do that? Well, we recognize and praise ethical actions. We have a high degree of transparency. We are aware of increasing ethical expectations. We embrace corporate social responsibility. These are some of this is how we can start putting it so that it's easier to understand then we want to be able to share this.
Things that are right according to God.
Why don't you create a poll?
I might make a suggestion that those 40 items be drawn up as a statement of standards and practices. So this is what governs our organization. And then we go into the issue of policies and procedures in order of importance and try to keep those in the category of 10. So the first thing
statement of
standards and practices. Which is our ethical core.
Ethical core. Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be.
This is how we live, and this is what we do, and this is how we think.
Right.
There a definition of ethical? Because I don't think some people are going to know what that means.
What ethical means, yeah.
I don't know what it means. I don't know, because I had a...
Who we are.
Okay, who we are.
Who we are.
It's more than that. It's following
what we do.
No, it's more than that. Ethics are a code of conduct that we follow as a group entity to ensure the integrity and stability of our organization.
Okay, but
sort of like a code of right and wrong.
Yeah, well, that's what standards. Our standards, what we do and how we think. Our standards and our practices.
What about go ahead. Or well, what about okay. Well, this is might be a little bit off of the topic, but okay. I know God has given us rights. Everybody rights. But okay, and the government isn't supposed to take over our rights, but I know they are. But right now, God is allowing things to happen, I think.
Yeah.
But
this is about free will.
Yeah,
one of the precepts that God set up was free will. So.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But God has given us right. God has given us people our rights too. So it's not.
Well, Kelly, I think what it comes down to is that I like to quote: "Bad people do bad things, not because they're bad people do bad things, not because bad people do bad things. Bad people do bad things because good people do nothing." So if you're in a community,
we have free will. I know that, but
as a community, as a responsibility that we have to each other in a community. If we're in a community and I see your child doing something that I know you don't want him to do, it's my responsibility to say, your mother, I know your mother, we're friends. You are not supposed to do that. And you better stop doing that, or I'm going to tell her that you did it. Okay, and so what we have done is we have allowed it's our failure to act as a community as one unit working together for a common good. We're all working as individuals. I take care of mine and you take care of yours. And the end result is nobody's taken care of.
I kind of disagree on that one. Okay, we are brothers and sisters in Christ. I mean, God told us to look after one another. We are brothers and sisters. We are our brothers and sisters' keeper. So we as a nation still have to take care of everybody else too.
That's what he was just trying to tell you. And so this brings up another thing that is in alignment with your belief, in alignment with everyone's belief, which is the law of one, which is that we are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed, and when one is helped, all are helped, and when one is healed, all are healed. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all that is, I ask that only that which is in the highest good of all concerned happen. And I give thanks that this is done, so be it and so it is. This is our core ethic values.
And Kelly, you have to understand that I'm not saying you don't believe that. But if our community really believed that, there is not a Chinaman's chance in hell that we would have allowed your children to be taken away from you.
As a global community or as a national community is what you're
or the community where you live would not allow that to happen. The point is, the majority of people don't care what happens to you and your children. Because if they did, and we were in a small community, that would never take place because we're concerned about Kelly and her children. She's part of our community. So when I say the United States is fragmented and self-absorbed and every man for himself, and it's winners and losers. And if you're a loser, well, you're just a loser. That's the natural order of things. We're predator and prey. We're like the animals, this Darwinian notion that's just total hogwash, complete and total. But the people who own and control this thing and are making the vast amount it's a very convenient way for them to justify their behavior. Okay, that they can rape and pillage without consequence. Okay. And God is an absentee slumlord. And we have our way with the world.
That's what people think. That's why they act the way they do.
And that's why you don't have your children.
No, God is God. God used to be a man here on earth before.
Yeah, but the point of it is, if nobody recognizes and holds that as sacred, then the fact that you believe that and it may be true. Because there's a court that intervened and decided that decided that they were the supreme authority and had the right to take your children away from you. Okay, and if they believed and all is one and we were all together, brothers and sisters, there's no way we'd say, Kelly, what can we do to help you with your children if you have a problem? Not well, you can't take care of them, so we'll take them from you. You know, so what we have, the reality of what we believe and how we behave, there's a disconnect. We don't really believe we're all one. It's really could be a free for all, and every man for himself, or every nation for themselves. And we're not living, and so this environment that's false and wrong and evil and ignorant, we've got to stand up for what's right
and turn this world right side up again. I say,
yes, right.
Topsy-turvy, upside down world is for the dogs, not even for the dogs. for
You have
the
to get rid
original.
of the devil.
You have to get rid
This
of
is a huge, this is a huge, huge job. And we're not going to do it with automatic assault weapons. Everybody's going to end up dead that way. So we got to get down to the nuts and bolts and get with our creator and get with ourselves and come up with a common solution for a common problem.
Okay.
And that's what this organization is all about.
Okay.
And we
Patience
are
and
all
tolerance and love.
inclusive. Thank you. Patience, tolerance, and love, all inclusive. This is about working together because no matter what faith or religion you follow, it is all one. You know, your Savior, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
is a Savior, okay? He was a very honorable being
Right.
that came to this planet to try to bring enlightenment.
Right.
There are other teachers who've come throughout the ages to do similar work. We
Right.
are now the embodiment of these teachers, and we can either just keep the teachings to ourselves or we can spread the light.
Mm.
And we're here to spread the light.
Right.
And you know that there comes a time when we used to follow the animals around because we didn't know where the water was, and there was a time when we had to learn how to grow our own food and harvest the water, and then we civilization developed, and we developed the languages and culture and nations, and then we developed feudalisms, and then we developed republics. Well, we have to make this next step in our evolution, and that's where we take responsibility. And Patty McCoy, who was a former head of human resources for Netflix, she wrote a book that was called Building a Culture of Freedom and Responsibility. What we have now is freedom with no responsibility. We're all free to do what we want to do, and I take care of mine and you take care of yours, all will be well, and it's going to hell in a handbasket. So every philosophy that you believe in and you practice will eventually be either proven to be true or false by its practice. It's either going to work or it's not. So in the absence of success with this false belief, it's all these other systems in the history have devolved into totalitarian states and fascism and the
Dictatorships.
yeah, and there Madeleine Albright, who was Secretary of State for during Clinton's state presidency, she just wrote a book called Fascism: A Warning. Now, her parents who lived in Czechoslovakia during the 30s prior to Hitler's reign, and they were fortunate enough to get out of the country before they got taken to concentration camps. But all the things that Hitler did, get control of information, get control of the judicial system, get control of the military and the police, he's following basically Hitler's handbook. And all of these totalitarian fascist states follow that when the economy doesn't work, they come in and force people to do things with guns. And it's just a matter of survival. So Mandela and Tutu exemplified making a civil change in transition in culture without going to war and having slaughter. So this process of forgiveness and reconciliation and restoration and resurrection are practical tools that we have to change our world and change our environment nonviolently.
And these tools are highlighted in the Bible and other scriptures and religious documents throughout the world. And there are people all over the world who recognize and understand that. And if we had enough people who understood that, there would not be any war. People would just lay down their weapons because...
And nobody running around taking children away from their
Nobody,
parents.
right, exactly. But we don't live in that world. We live in this upside down, topsy-turvy world. And, you know, the whole idea here is to build this community of ethics and responsibility in freedom and community, right? I mean,
Right.
you know, that's what we're,
So we've got to take this idea.
yeah.
We got to take this idea, like they have, you know, when all the guys that came out of Western Europe came from a monarchy, and they took that idea, the goodness that was in the monarchy, and created the republic. So we've got to take all the goodness in the world and all these ideas and religions and create a new civilization structure for civilization. And that's all on unwritten laws. You know, they don't have to be written. They just have to be lived intuitively, because you know that's the right thing to do. And you know, my uncle used to say about laws, he says, really, you really don't need them, for the simple reason that if you're a good person, you're obeying all the laws because you're following your spiritual center. And if you're a bad person, you're going to disobey the laws anyway. And if you're a wealthy person, you can buy your way out of them. You know, so what we have to do is live by what we understand within ourselves as to be correct. You know, and that's nonviolence. Okay, that's love. That's all of the positive attributes of man. So it's a matter of overcoming our instincts, our impulses, controlling our emotions, changing our behavior,
And
making a
not living in a fight or flight mode, because that creates destruction everywhere.
Yeah, so it's the old choice of making a decision, and anything that you do, you make a choice to go this way or to go that way. So, and then the consequences come, the goodness or the suffering, you know, and the blessings. So we're still a subordinate to our Creator, and what we're trying to do is find what the Creator's light is, the highest light for all concerned. And that basically, the law of one, the law of one could really be who we are and what we are, in a sense. It's our chant, you know.
Yeah.
And then so our standards and practices, we're formulating these things and formulating, you know, I would say we're right here in the first thing is putting that form together, so that when somebody is been hit with a brick in their stomach, and they're buckled over, and the kids are taken, and they're distraught and emotionally disturbed, that they could come to this sanctuary and just follow the directions with the assistance of somebody, and go step by step on the road to getting their children back, you know. And so, and we're all in this together, you know. We've all suffered some horrible thing in the past, or are suffering something horrible now, as far as our children and our families are concerned. And this damage is being done. So what we're doing, it's a grassroots movement from the community, and it's just like the kids that walked out of school and said, we're not going to have this anymore. We're not going to have military assault rifles on our streets, where they're accessible to people who have mental problems and are confused, disoriented, and misguided, and will do harm on a massive scale. Just like you wouldn't put a hand grenade in a child's pen, you know, so they can pull the pin out of it and blow themselves up. So this is the nuts and bolts of building an organization, establishing its principles, and then finding solutions to problems. So let's just say we had the 150 computer scientists from Google to come on this website and say, listen, we need to put a a master application together that that will answer all the questions we need to know to find the solution for this particular family. Because they're all different. And so if we get so that's our tour right now. Get a form on the website where somebody can first somebody that's suffering from all these problems with the courts can go there and find a pathway to getting their children back.
So that, and with that being said, this is what I've got, listed for the site, for the website. Okay. So like a question tag, what can I do if my children were taken by ... whether it be your ex or, somebody abducted them or a family member or whatever. So then provide a list of procedures parents can follow to regain their parental rights in their families. Then, we can talk about legal policy, informing the people of the constitutional rights, step-by-step process, how to get their children back, court procedure, step-by-step. And then we have a questionnaire, what is your situation? Create an intake form for parents. I didn't spell that right, oh well. I'm not a good speller. Create an intake form for parents to be helped better, and then in that we're like asking what state, county, what court, and I haven't got any more questions yet, but if you guys have any suggestions.
Well, I think this is Marge, Kelly, Thomas, Lyra. I think let's make this our first community project to get this form on the website.
Yeah.
And get it functioning. And I now that we have a group focus. Let's just think and meditate on this in the coming weeks. And put our energies in what we can do to make this form better and more comprehensive.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together just a little sample form like the one that the Family Rights Party has that I shared. Hold on. It's not going there. Hold on. There. So here, how we have the 4 sections and we can make, or the 5 sections, we can make sections like this as well for the coalition. And I'll publish it and share it with all of you on the site. Okay? And then what I will do that in the next few days. And then so by Friday, I'm going to say, it will be done, and I will send you all the link. And if you have any other ideas or questions you think should be on that form, just message me on Facebook Messenger, and I will add them, okay?
And then the issue of the overall mission statement, how to introduce us to the community at large, who we are and what we are and where we're going and why. So and incorporate the law of one in that. So in a brief statement, on one page, they can get a complete picture.
So this is our vision and our mission here. Okay, and we talked about this before. And this could go on the front page right now. It's on the About Us page, though, because I was looking to get some other information on the homepage, but we can put this back on the homepage.
Yeah. And
then have the law of one instead of over here, have the law of one under our mission and above our core values, or below the core values?
Well, just use your inspiration, Lyra, where you feel it's appropriate, and then we can add to this, or when somebody gets a bright idea that really resonates, everyone. We can change this at any time. There's nothing written in stone here.
Nothing, no. This is about,
Starting point.
yeah. Oh, excuse me. It's
And with
been a
that
long
yawn,
day. It's
I
been
think
a
that
long day. I apologize, everyone.
that's a good indication. With everybody's permission, I make a motion to bring the meeting to a close and to reconvene next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to resume the work.
I second that.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor? All in favor? Say aye.
Hey, aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Thomas?
Where are you,
Aye.
Tom? Tom, where are you?
Right here, and aye, Tom.
Oh, he's all on
Okay.
mute and
Well,
stuff.
we have to say that at the present time, it's not it's a 70, but there's 5 parties, so that's like an 80% of the 75 to 80% of the quorum. So, Thomas, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you in favor of what we've all agreed to?
Yes, sir.
That's
Hey, that's
good to
better
hear.
than 100%.
All
Okay.
right.
So let's take that with that 100% spirit into the next meeting.
And I'm going to
Congratulations.
publish this meeting to the page, to the coalition page, for people to watch.
Absolute, total transparency.
Yeah.
There's only one person in charge, and he's not. I don't. He's everywhere, and she is everywhere. And we're subservient to that highest light.
Right.
So
Amen.
we're following the light. We're not following leaders. So anybody has any light or any ideas, please bring them to the floor, because everything is, we're open to everything. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good night,
night.
Thomas. Good night, Marge. Good night, Kelly. Bye, Lyra. See you next week.
Goodbye. Have a good evening, all of you. Thank you for joining tonight.
Is there anything on Saturday?
Saturday?
Yes, ma'am. We are going to have our normal parent advocate meeting on Saturday. And Thomas, can you hold on? Because I'd like to discuss a little bit about what you've come up with for those meetings.
Okay. Good night. I'll see you guys. See you guys Saturday.
Good night, Dale. See you.
Bye.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good
Good
night.
night.
That was quite interesting.
Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, how's it going?
As far as
I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm wondering how you're doing.
it's because I've been hanging out in the back doing 1,000,001 different things.
Yeah, I understand. We all get busy for sure.
And, no. Go ahead.
Oh, I was wondering if you'd gotten anywhere with the scheduling for meetings, the plan of like topics for us to be starting to.
I knew you said something that you were working on that, and we were supposed to catch up with after that so that we can do a calendar. And I haven't heard back since then. I mean, I kind of have ideas in my mind, but I know you said you started it, so I wanted to get with you and see what your thoughts were.
Well, right now, the only 2 things, actually, I have 3 meetings a week. Right now, it's this meeting at the business meeting, and then there's the Parent Advocate Network on Saturdays, and then the Sunday meeting is the Family Rights Party meeting. And Misty wants to do a tribunal meeting on another day. But I don't really have a list of like topics for the meeting on Saturday. just not yet.
You know, what day did you? Okay, so you said Misty, was it?
Yeah.
Who's Misty? I don't think I met her.
She is my friend up in Washington. She is the founder of the Sisters of Light 128, and she does a lot of work with people in, well, I guess homeless situations and other situations, trying to help families, trying to help with disputes. You know, we're all right now freelancing it, trying to do the best we can, and I'd like us to be able to provide more support to everybody so that, you know, as far as when we do have these meetings, that we can give everyone a set of tools for whatever challenge they might be working to resolve.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, really, my idea and my thought behind all that is, you know, kind of gathering a list of what everybody thinks that we needed to address.
Yeah.
And categorize it. Like, I mean, before I knew about all these different events, you know, I just took a calendar, took off our main meetings, our board, our Tuesdays was off limit, our Saturdays was off limit. And now you're saying about Misty. So just for example, we'll say Thursday. That's 3 days that are set in stone. Now we have the other 4 days where we can do different topics.
Right. But, you know, and what we want to do is be able to address different topics each week. So whatever one of those 4 other days that, you know, we choose, we stick to, and each week we have an informative meeting. It's like we'll have guest speakers talking specifically about one topic, whether it be elderly support or...
We have like 13 different topics.
Okay.
And then, you know, I thought out of all of it too, maybe let different people do the meetings.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know, and then,
totally.
You know, then I was thinking of having, depending how much, you know, how wide it goes, you know, having a couple days of just open.
Yeah. Now, what I want to do is I want to see if I can set up the Zoom platform so that, like, I don't need to be on for it to be available for other members to do meetings and be recorded to the cloud.
Yeah.
Because the other way of doing it would be to get, but you know, I'm thinking maybe this platform is not the appropriate platform. I don't know for certain because you know, I know Skype is pretty logged down, so that's not really a good platform anymore.
I mean, are you looking for more of the video part? Or what are you looking for?
Well, we want to share information, you know, like how I'm able to do screen shares.
Uh-huh.
And there's not a lot of programs out there that let you do that.
I mean, what is your thought, though, as far as see, my concern is that